The bilateral relationship between India and Oman is very strong when it comes to economic and trade partnership. In fact, in many ways, this has been the heart of the relationship for many years. What is important to understand and note is that in the post-pandemic phase, the relationship, whether it is trade or investments, both has grown exponentially. Before the pandemic, if you see in the early 2020s or late in the past 7-8 years, the bilateral trade would be trending at around $4, $5, $6 billion. In the last financial year ending 2023, for the first time, we crossed $10 billion of bilateral trade. In fact, bilateral trade crossed $12 billion to reach a new high, which was in fact a doubling as compared to the previous year. This past year, the last financial year, we touched around $9 billion. That fluctuation mostly on account of oil prices. But overall, the bilateral trade is today trending far higher than the averages of the past many years. Bilateral investment relationship is also very robust. We have a very unique model of the Oman-India Joint Investment Fund, where both countries have come together, the Oman Investment Authority from Oman and the State Bank of India from the Indian side, jointly pooling resources to invest in the sunrise sectors of India. A third tranche has now been announced of $300 million, which is currently being invested in India. The state visit of His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq was a milestone in bilateral relations. This was the first state visit from Oman to India in 26 years. The previous such visit was in 1997 when late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos visited India. The visit of Sultan Haitham was a very significant visit, his first in Asia, and his first visit to India in his capacity after taking over as the Sultan. There were very extensive bilateral discussions between His Majesty and Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. A very future-oriented and comprehensive India-Oman joint vision was adopted by the two leaders. This document essentially aims to harmonize the synergies between Oman Vision 2040 on the one hand and India's Amrit Kaal initiative under Prime Minister Modi on the other. And in doing so, it is a very comprehensive document that effectively lays out a roadmap for the future development of India-Oman relationship, not just for the next few years, but perhaps even for the next couple of decades. So this visit was very significant, and I do believe that it has laid the foundation for the rapid upgradation of India-Oman ties in the future. We had the honor of inviting the Sultanate of Oman as India's special guest during our presidency of the G20. This was a gesture from India which signifies the importance that we attach to this bilateral relationship. And I must say the participation of Oman in our G20 was very robust. There were more than 11 ministers of the government who traveled to India. The Omani delegations, numbering into several hundreds of officials, participated in more than 150 meetings all across India. They truly enriched and deepened the debates of the G20 and contributed to a good outcome of India's G20 presidency. Deputy Prime Minister and Special Representative of His Majesty, His Highness Sayyid Assad, led the delegation for the G20 summit hosted by Prime Minister Modi. So this participation of Oman as a special guest not only was reflective of our already good relationship, but I think has played a key role in deepening the relationship even further. Absolutely, and the people-to-people ties, the heart of the India-Oman relationship. In fact, the Indian and the Omani people have been friends even before there was an India or an Oman. In the modern sense, people have been interacting since several hundreds of years, if not more. We have tried to bring back this relationship, this facet of this relationship back to global limelight. There are about 7 lakh or 700,000 Indians who call Oman their second home. A small portion of that are actually Omani citizens, and that's again a very important and a very unique facet of this bilateral relationship. To bring this back into limelight, the embassy over the past year or so, we did an exercise of doing a lecture series where we called anybody who had expertise on the India-Oman relationship, the people-to-people ties, and also the old Indian families who have been resident in this country for more than 200 years to come and talk about that history. And all this was done over the course of about 8-9 months here in Muscat. Very successful, I must say. And we have now compiled all of this into a book. In fact, I have this book in front of me. It is called Mandvi to Muscat, Indian Community and the Shared History of India and Oman. This book was released jointly by the Foreign Minister of the Sultanate of Oman and India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, last week in Muscat. This book, I hope, will preserve this history of this unique history of Indian community in Oman going forward. The other initiative that we took apart from this, we also worked together with the National Archives of India and the National Archives and Records Authority of Oman to digitize the ancient archival documents of the Indian community. And more than 7,000 such records have today been digitized, and these are now available as a separate sub-portal of the National Archives of India, thereby immortalizing this history, making this available to researchers, historians, and people the world over, and not just for now, but for years to go by. And I believe this will be, this is the first time that such an initiative has been taken. And I'm very grateful to the support of the Omani authorities that made this possible, that has enabled us to preserve and celebrate this very unique facet of Indian diaspora history. Yes, indeed, 2025 happens to be the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and the Sultanate of Oman. India's consulate was first established in the city of Muscat in 1955. So India's is among the oldest diplomatic relationships with the Sultanate of Oman. And this proud occasion will be celebrated all across this year. Just last week in Oman, our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar ji, was on a visit. And he, along with the Foreign Minister of Oman, Excellency Saeed Badr al-Busaidi, jointly released a joint commemorative logo for the 70th anniversary. This logo will now be the the bookmark for all the activities that we have planned in the coming few months to celebrate this milestone in the form of high-level visits, joint exhibitions, cultural activities, and other such activities in different fields. And this milestone truly is an exemplar of the length, the depth and breadth of India-Oman ties.